In the shocking murder of Delhi University professor Dr. Debushmita Paul, Delhi police have arrested a couple from West Bengal, bringing a dramatic twist to a case that had stunned the national capital. Investigators say the accused were known to the professor, and preliminary findings point to a long-running property dispute as the motive behind the killing. Police allege the couple travelled nearly 1,400 kilometers from Bengal to Delhi before carrying out the murder at her Vasundhara Enclave apartment. Dr. Paul, an assistant professor at Delhi University's Shivaji College, was found dead with severe head injuries inside her flat earlier this week. The accused couple were living as tenants at the DU professor's ancestral Bengal home. After she reportedly asked them to vacate the plot, they conspired to kill her to gain control of the property. They even brought their minor son along with them to avoid suspicion and gain friendly entry into the apartment. The accused are now being brought to Delhi for further interrogation as investigations work to, of course, now reconstruct the events leading up to the murder. Ellen Rao, former DCP Delhi Police, is joining us now live. Kapil Kakkar, psychologist, is also with us on the broadcast. Shavish Ryan, Supreme Court advocate, joins us live. Tahir Hassan, women activist, is also joining us on the program. Let me make a start with you first, Ellen Rao. Quite a commendable job, of course, done by Delhi Police in cracking this murder case so far. What do you make of the investigation, and are you satisfied with it?
Good evening, Uday. And to my co-panelists also and to your viewers. Definitely, it's a commendable job done by the Delhi Police within a few days, rather you can say 2-3 days. They are able to crack down this blind, I must say it's a blind murder case. There was absolutely no clue in the initial stage, and after that the police dug out the clues. I think mainly was the technical surveillance or technical intelligence or technical know-how. They could get to know about the culprits who are from West Bengal. Rightly said by after you can say at the distance of 1400 miles. So this is a very tedious job because they initially without any clue that working out of this case, and it was a very prestigious case. It was I think. It was very much described in the channels, every channel, because it was a very important case. A professor of a Delhi University was murdered like this. So now I think that during investigation of this case, the police came to know there was some property angle or some dispute between the tenants and the landlord in West Bengal property. So we can imagine that how the relations can be murdered like this because of the property disputes or because of the greed or like that. Because the people, they may plan from West Bengal and come to Delhi and commit such type of murder. And that it depends on how much they have wrecked the area, how much they could follow up that activities of that victim. And after that, they commissioned this gruesome murder case. So now the investigation will continue, and in that case, after completion of the investigation and collection of the all the physical evidences, the electronic evidences, and all other suitable evidences, that the charge sheet will be filed against the accused persons as soon as possible, and then I think now the investigation should be monitored by the senior level so that there is no flaw in the investigation and the culprits get their punishment as soon as possible in this case.
Yes. Kapil Kakkar, let me bring you in here now also. What do you believe is the motive here? Is it simply, of course, to get hold of property? What kind of depraved greed mindset is this that leads a couple to allegedly commit murder for property reasons, a property dispute, of course? Dr. Kakkar.
So the sense that I get from this case
also to just quickly add, trying to these are all professional kind of techniques. Then bring in using a minor so that their actual motive did not come out.
Absolutely. No doubt this was a very well thought process and strategy taken by these culprits. However, my sense to the entire case is that here we lose a lady who was very clear in what she wanted, who was a very good negotiator, and the culprits looked at her as the roadblock, as the impediment, and someone because of which or whom they were unable to buy that property. Because normally what happens is when tenants are already staying in a property, and because we all know how the legal cases etc go on, they tend to have a better control over negotiation. So here was a lady who had her maternal ancestral property, and perhaps she was spearheading the negotiations, and she was very clear that she wanted this property to be vacated. Now this shows that that the demised lady had a very clear thought process. She was a strong personality, and she was trying to be fair as per the law also. But she would never had thought that somebody from West Bengal would have come and would have assaulted and in fact murdered her for something like this. So this obviously would, she herself wouldn't have ever fathomed. So the mindset as far as the culprits are concerned, they were desperate, they were in deep greed, they wanted to buy this property at any cost. And when people tend to get obsessed with this mindset, over a period of time, various kind of strategies they start manifesting, and they become delusional, believing with conviction that they will be able to get away with it. However, and when this happens, they also get blinded that what would be the ramification apart from the cops. It was a family property. Even if they were able to successfully remove this lady and they wouldn't have been caught, what was the guarantee that her sister and the other family members would have conceded to their demands? So my point is that when people are filled with such delusion, which happens over a period of time, it becomes a real-time conviction for them, and they actually believe that they will be able to pull this off, and this primarily comes with a very criminal mindset. If you look at it, even if this is their first murder, but there is a lot of thinking which has gone behind it, taking a minor child with them. They never even thought that when they would assault or kill somebody with the intent, because what I understand is the cab in which they came, that was also waiting for them to take them. So which means they knew that they would spend half an hour, 1 hour, 1.5 hours, whatever time they would. But they never even thought that they would be doing this dastardly act
Yes.
in front of a minor child. So this primarily shows the mindset of such people was totally criminal, and they were unaware over a period of time about the ramification and the consequences which now they would face for their lives.
Absolutely. What do you make of this incident, Tahira Hassan, and the message that it sends out about the society that we're living in? Of course,
Yes.
it's completely shocking the way this incident has happened, and it happened with a very accomplished and well-known professor in Delhi University, which again is a very reputed university. So that in itself shows us how this can happen to anyone if it could have happened to her.
Yes, very shocking and painful incident, Uday. And the thing is this, that this new law in the society, the moral values, it is very disturbing and serious matter that the moral values erosion is very serious matter. And the thing is this, these people are so much running after this wealth and money and property, and this greed make them to go to any extent, at any cost. They want to grab the property, because that property, ancestral property, she was the rightful owner of that property, and she was pressurizing them to vacate it. It was her right to ask. So they thought ki just remove her from the scene, and it's well planned, very criminal-minded people are they. It is a well planned, because they covered their face also, and they knew her very well. She knew them also, because they are tenant of the professor's house. So that's why they did not touch anything. How police suspected? Because they saw that there no robbery, no forced entry, and no untouched jewelries and all. So it seems that some known people had committed this heinous, horrific crime. So I think they are the very criminal-minded people, and it shows that the new law in society. There's something happens in the flats. You say flats are very, I mean, safe, but when this happens, what happens? Why the peon who was supposed to be make the register with the entry? What about the entry? They entered their names or not, or the fake names, whatever happened, nothing is clear right now. So it seems that is a new law in society. If something happens somewhere, nobody bothers. Your sister came to find out when there was no, repeatedly she called continuously when she called, and the unanswered calls. So she was very disturbed, and she came, then she saw the body there. And the forensic finding, according to the forensic finding, they indicate that the many injuries were found on her head with the blunt object. So you can say they were criminal cold blood. It is a cold-blooded murder, I think. So this I think the society is a new law in society has to be taken very serious. If the society is like, I mean, where are we heading? How can we call ourselves a civilized, a person of the civilized society? So the people so much greed and wealth, and I mean for wealth and greed and for money, I mean they can murder, people can murder to anybody.
Yes.
And they want to grab the property legally, illegally, they want to grab the property, encroach properties. What is happening?
Absolutely.
No fear of law.
Shamshavi Shrine, let me rope you in here on, of course, now the investigation. How important is this investigation really going to be? And also bringing in evidence which will back up the police's theory that this was a murder because of the property dispute. Also, what sections under the law will this couple now face? Should an example be made of this case, which is obviously, seems to be a murder just because of greed and the lure of getting a property for free?
First off, I would say that this is such a very sad case that just for a property, such a heinous crime was done, and that too by a couple who also had a minor child. And unfortunately, that now the minor child, if they don't have any background and no one in the family, so the child will be taken into a child care home. So that child will have a very bad future, unfortunately, because of the greed of the parents. Well, as per BNS, the new law, it will be one for the murder and the BNS. So the case, so now since the matter has started,
all right, Shamshavi.
Now persons will be now kept behind.
Yes, you're back with us. We lost you, but now you're back with us. Complete.
Okay. Yes. So it is under section 101 and 103 BNS that these people would be kept behind the bars, and they would get very not so soon they would get any bail, but yes, it would take many years for them to seek a bail, and then a bail would be granted to them in case in case the trial is still pending. The child would be taken into a child care home in case that child has no family, I mean no grandparents or anyone in the family to take care of them. But now it's a matter of trial, since all the documents, all the evidence would be collected by the police, and they would be arranging for the sharp blade or something that is being shown on the social media, that as per the media it was a sharp tool that was hit on the head of the professor. So that tool also would be taken into custody of the police and be presented before the court as one of the evidence. So it's very crucial case that the police has to arrange for all the evidences. Only then a very strong case would be made out. Otherwise, they would have many ways to, because once a person goes inside the jail, there are many criminals inside the jail who have different ways to brief them, tell them that how you can prove your case that you are not guilty. So police has to do a thorough investigation in the matter, arrange for uh, all the material that was used in the case, in the murder, and from where all those equipments were purchased, and all of that would be taken into the investigation, and then a proper case would be made, and that is how a trial would be done.
Yes.
So police has to play a very important role
Absolutely,
here.
absolutely. And what do you believe turned the suspicion of the police to this couple and the property dispute angle, Mr. Rao? Because earlier it was also being speculated as to the estranged relationship that this professor had with her husband. Other angles were being looked at as well. I'm sure, of course, whenever such a crime is committed, the first angle is if a domestic help was responsible or someone else who worked there. But what do you believe turned the angle of suspicion to this couple and the property dispute?
Hello.
Mr. Rao, Mr. Rao, that question is for you.
Yes, so let me clarify. This investigation was started from all angles. Initially, there were all angles were open, but after this looking at the dump data of the mobile phone, I think so, because there's very technical investigation where these suspected persons were spotted here in this. Some numbers were spotted, and after that, analyzing those numbers, they were found to be of that West Bengal number. And after that, they connected these dots of this property and the tenants and all these things. And then these numbers were, when scrutinized, they were found to be the tenants of this lady. And there was no connection that how these persons are here in Delhi on that day. And furthermore, all the security guards record also tallied, and their because faces were muffled and all these things. That's why the police reached to that these criminals, and one of them is minor. That is a very important aspect, because they also used one minor in this case. Now the investigation has started, and the evidence is more important. Evidence of the blood-stained clothes of these accused persons, blood found at the spot, and the weapon of offense which have been used in this crime, that is also to be recovered, and all these things. And then motive is very important in any murder case. The motive, establishing of a motive, that is very important. I think the police will be establishing this motive of property angle, that in this case, and all the dots are being jolted, and after doing thorough investigation, and in this case also, that I also must tell you that forensic lab analysis, that will be also one of the crucial evidence in this case, in addition to the CCTV footage of that complex where these people entered and came out, and the relevant time when they entered into, and the relevant time when they came out of it with muffled faces, and that statement of the security guard who was manning the gate at that time. These are all important evidences which are to be collected by the police. I think the police will definitely be doing, and this is a meticulous piece of investigation with a very short span of time. The police could work out this very important case, which is of an innocent, very upcoming Delhi University professor who is a victim in this matter, in this case. So now totally this all depends upon how fast the investigation with a very solid evidence and proof it's done, and that all evidences are collectively mentioned in the charge sheet. And after completion of the charge sheet, then the trial will initiate, and then the speedy trial will also have some more effect that these persons should not come out of jail. If there is a prolonged trial, then there are chances this person may get some bail after 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
But if the investigation is completed as soon as possible, they may not get bail in this matter.
And also what's very startling that's coming to the fore is, the extent to which the alleged killers have gone here. Tahira Hassan, traveling 1400 kilometers to carry out this murder.
West Bengal to Delhi. This was the well-planned murder. That was what I'm saying. That is a well-planned murder by the criminal-minded people. They had come for that purpose. That's why they covered their face also. This is what the revealed by the CCTV camera footage. And I don't know what the security guard whether asked them to enter their name in register or not. If they are, must have asked. So police must have taken those records also, because evidences must be collected very well. But really, the Delhi police job is commendable job. I really appreciate the way they swiftly they worked, because they have collected tickets also. Their tickets also from the West Bengal to Delhi. So I think these are the evidences. As fast quick they will collect the evidences and produce in the court. I think justice will be delivered to this professor as soon as possible, because if the evidences, collecting evidences and proper evidences are delayed, then whatever evidences I always say is collected or are collected, or forensic findings, scientific findings, and they are produced in the court. So honorable court gives the judgment on that only. So it's this time the police is doing good job, and I hope they will collect each and every evidences. And these criminal minded people must be punished,
Yes.
because for committing heinous crimes.
Yes.
And the one more thing, Uday, that it is a growing tendency in the society to grab people's property, and the greed, and because this property worth crores. So this murder is linked with the money only, and she was rightful owner of that ancestral property, and they just want to remove her from the scene.
Absolutely, and and perhaps this was planned for quite a while, Dr. Kakkar. Do you believe it was not just a day or 2 days or a week? Perhaps it was longer. That the planning was happening in the mind of this couple, and then of course, obviously hatched to perfection in the manner that they did. Almost perfection, because now they're caught.
Absolutely. Such things don't happen overnight. It's been a meticulous planning for over months. They would have pondered. First, they would have pondered the ways they would have negotiated with them. Then they would have seen that who is the biggest obstacle amongst the family members. They would have tried to, speak their mind to them, tried to negotiate, give them unrealistic proposal, which I think this lady would have certainly outrightly rejected. And over a period of time, then that was the time that they would have thought that if she is out of her life, maybe our life is better, in the sense we will be able to negotiate in a much prolific and fruitful manner. So that is one aspect. Secondly, it was basically the power of control. So here there was a power of control as far as they are the tenant who were occupying a property where they had the sense of ownership, because they were staying for a long time. So they had their ego in place and the power of control vis-a-vis the lady who knew that it was a maternal side property and she was the rightful owner lawfully of it. So she also had an absolute power of control. So when these two clashes, so in fact, when this went into a clash format, that was the time when the one-upmanship started. And like I said earlier, that she for them was the biggest impediment, the biggest obstacle and the roadblock who was coming in their way, because since they've been staying there for a long time, that sense of belongingness towards their house, that sense of rightful so-called notional ownership. Because there was a time, if you look at 20-25 years back, before the laws started changing in the favor of landlord, most of the property in Delhi also, in fact, most of the property even today in Connaught Place also, the shops that are running, they end up paying a rent of 500 rupees, 1000 rupees. And if you look at the owners of those high-end properties where so much of business is being made, with a rental of at least 10-15 lakh rupees every month, that the owner should have deserved.
Okay.
So when there is money involved and greed involved, such things, unfortunate things, end up happening.
Okay. I'm afraid we've run totally out of time, so we'll have to leave it at that. My thanks to our guests for joining us. Let's slip into a very short break. Much more coming up.